Hey there, friend! Welcome back to our channel. This is an inspiring story about a young woman named Maheshwari. Maheshwari was a poor but extremely compassionate young woman of around 24 to 25 years old. She lived and sold food on the streets of Bangladesh. She had a heart of gold and always tried to help those in need. One day, while selling food on the streets, she saw a destitute man begging for food. She took pity on him and gave him some of her food, not knowing that he was actually a billionaire in disguise. This random act of kindness changed their lives forever. Let's get started. Meher operated a humble food stall on the busy streets of Nanail Market, East Dolpur, Dhaka. From her tiny makeshift booth, she served up simple, inexpensive dishes like rice, lentils, mashed potatoes, and fried eggs. Although she only had a few utensils to cook with, she managed to make tasty meals that brought customers back. Her days began before dawn when she would wake up and start preparing everything herself. Despite living in extreme hardship, her face always had a radiant smile and her spirit remained unbroken. Meher's story is a truly touching one. She was born and raised in a small village. But when she was just a child, her parents tragically lost their lives in a devastating riverbank erosion. With no one to take care of her, she grew up on the streets of Dhaka, fending for herself and sleeping wherever she could find shelter. Despite the harsh circumstances she faced, Meher never lost hope. She had a kind heart and a strong will to survive. And these qualities helped her to make a living by selling food on the side of the road. Now, let's get back to the story. Across from her stall sat a shabby-looking elderly man. Passers-by knew him as Ifa Pagla, which means crazy old man. He was always dirty and disheveled, making people uncomfortable with his appearance. People either cursed at him or ignored him as if he were invisible. But Meher couldn't bear to see him sitting there day after day, not knowing whether he had eaten or not. One day, she decided to do something. She prepared a plate of rice and walked over to the man. "Here, eat this," she said softly. He looked up at her with surprise and nodded slowly, then began eating the rice. Meher felt a sense of satisfaction, knowing that she had made a difference in his life, no matter how small. From then on, Meher made sure to give the man food every day. She didn't know his story or why he was living on the streets, but she couldn't bear to see him go hungry. She started saving money from her meager earnings to buy him more food and sometimes even gave him money directly. Meher didn't think twice about helping the man. She knew what it was like to be hungry and wanted to make sure he never went without food. However, not everyone understood her kindness. One day, one of Meher's neighbors, Rashada Kala, scolded her for giving food to such a disreputable person. "What will people say if they see you feeding him? You'll bring trouble upon yourself," she warned. But Meher didn't care about what people thought. She continued to give the man food, saying, "For the sake of something one day I might have received." Rashida Kala didn't understand her words and shook her head disapprovingly. Meher's kindness didn't go unnoticed. Though one day, a young man named Arif noticed her helping the beggar. He was a university student who often bought food from her and admired her generosity. He approached her and said, "Why are you giving money to that beggar? He probably spends it on drugs or alcohol." Meher looked up at him and replied, "How can you say that? He might be going through a tough time and needs our help. Arif thought for a moment and then said, "You're right. I apologize for what I said." He then took out some money and gave it to the old man, saying, "Here, you can have this." The old man looked at Arif in surprise and then slowly took the money. As the days passed, Arif became a regular customer at Mahor's stall and often brought other people to it. He told them about her kindness and encouraged them to support her. Mahar was grateful for Arif's help, but she still faced opposition from some people, especially from Bakomia, the owner of a nearby Biarni restaurant. Raquel was jealous of Mahar's success and didn't like that people were buying food from her instead of his. He often criticized her business and threatened to call the city authorities to shut her down. One day, Raquel Mia came up to Mahor's stall and shouted at her, "How dare you sell food here? You're just a lowly street vendor and don't know your place. I'm going to call the city authorities and have you thrown in jail." Mahor was scared, but Arif stood up for her. "Leave her alone, Bakul. She may be a street vendor, but she has more humanity than you'll ever have. You can't understand her kindness because it's something you've never experienced yourself." Bekelmia was furious, but he couldn't argue with what Arif had said. He turned away and went back to his restaurant, fuming. Mahor was grateful to Arif for standing up for her, but she still worried about Bakul's threats. She didn't want to lose her only source of income. However, she couldn't just sit back and do nothing. She decided to fight for her right to sell food on the streets. She joined a local advocacy group that helped street vendors protect their businesses. With their help, Mahor was able to stand up to Bakul and prevent him from closing down her stall. The story takes a turn when the old man, Ifa Pagla, who had been receiving food and money from Mahor for months, suddenly disappeared. One morning, she came to the street to set up her stall and found that he was there. At first, she didn't think much of it, assuming that he had gone to visit his family or friends. But as the days passed and she didn't see him, her concern grew. One afternoon, Mahor decided to look for the old man. She asked her customers if they had seen him, but nobody had. She even went to the nearby slums and inquired about him, but no one knew where he had gone. Mahor was worried and confused. She didn't know what to do or where to look for him. She missed seeing him at her stall and wondered if he was okay. Meanwhile, Bakalmia took advantage of the situation and started teasing Mahar. "Where's your crazy friend? Has he gone to look for his family? Or has he come back?" he said with a sneer. Mahar was angry and upset. She didn't appreciate Bakul's mocking tone or his insensitivity towards the old man. She told him that it wasn't funny and that she was worried about him. But Bakul just laughed and said, "Don't worry, Mick. Maybe he's dead and gone to join his maker." His words hurt Mahor and she started to cry. Just then, Arif came over to her stall and heard Bakul's taunts. He was furious and confronted Bakel. "How dare you talk to her like that? She's a good person and doesn't deserve your mockery." Arif and Bakel started arguing, but Mahar stopped them. She didn't want them to fight over the old man, but she couldn't shake off the feeling that something was wrong. Determined to find him, Mahor went to the police station to file a missing persons report. The officers took down the old man's description and promised to look for him. But Mahar wasn't satisfied with their response. She knew that they would untake the case seriously. Since the old man was a beggar and nobody cared about him, so she decided to take matters into her own hands. With the help of Arif and her other customers, Meher put up posters with the old man's picture and information all over the city. She also visited hospitals and shelters, hoping that someone had taken him in, but she couldn't find him anywhere. As days turned into weeks, Meher's hope began to dwindle. She started to believe that she might never see the old man again. Then one day, just when Meher was about to give up, she received a phone call that changed everything. On the other end of the line was a social worker who told her that she had found the old man. He was in a hospital bed, unconscious and unable to speak. The social worker explained that someone had brought the old man to the hospital and left him there without any identification. Meher's heart skipped a beat when she heard this. Could it be possible that the old man was actually a billionaire in disguise? To be continued. That's all for today. Please share your thoughts below. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss out on new stories. See you next time.